It is my duty not to have preferences.
Well, we all do, though, don't we?
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Olivia Colman moments as Queen Elizabeth II.
Which meant that first my father, and then I, had to do a job we were never meant to do.
Well, you've managed to make it look like the other thing is the only thing you were ever meant to do.
Have we won?
Oh, yes. It's a victory for the Commonwealth, a victory for humanity, and most of all, a victory for you.
Well, am I wrong? Like, hands up anyone who thinks I'm wrong.
For this list, we'll be looking at times this award-winning actress gave an unforgettable performance as the British monarch in seasons 3 and 4 of The Crown. Which of her scenes did you think was the most regal? Let one know in the comments. Number 10. The Queen gets caught between Charles and Diana. Most mothers wouldn't want to see their child suffer in an unhappy marriage, but this queen isn't most mothers.
All anyone wants is for the pair of you to pull yourselves together. Stop making spectacles of yourselves. And make this marriage and your enormously privileged positions in life work.
Feeling constantly assailed by Charles and Diana's marital woes, she decides that enough is enough. When Charles brings up his troubled relationship, she reminds him of his privilege and how they all know that he's hardly the victim in his marital problems.
They know that you betray your wife and make no attempt to hide it. They know that thanks to you, she has psychological problems and eats or doesn't eat or whatever it is she does or doesn't do. They know that you are a spoilt, immature man, endlessly complaining, unnecessarily.
It's not often that we see the Queen lose her temper like this, but Colman gives a very compelling performance that has us agreeing with her every word. Yet in the battle between the Crown and her family's happiness, the Crown wins again.
You will not separate or divorce or let the side down in any way. And if one day you expect to be king...
I do.
Then might I suggest you start to behave like one.
Number 9. Queen Elizabeth versus Margaret Thatcher. In this season 4 episode, Thatcher gets the Queen so riled up that she breaks protocol and offers an opinion.
She's shown that she's also an astute political infighter who is quite prepared to take on Downing Street.
When provoked.
If you know your British politics, then you'll know that the head of state is forbidden from speaking on political matters. Yet this is one issue that the Queen uncharacteristically refuses to back down on.
I'm determined to win this battle, Sonny. I don't often get into a fight, but when I do, I want to win.
The pair already don't see eye to eye on matters regarding the Commonwealth. Thatcher's reluctance to impose sanctions on apartheid South Africa only deepens their friction. The battle that ensues between the pair is played rather lightheartedly, with plenty of creative licensing. Still, we're rooting for Queen Elizabeth to win.
To you, the Commonwealth is something of a distraction, a waste of time. But in many ways, I have given my life to it.
Number 8. Showing kindness to an intruder. By now, you're probably aware that this episode is rooted in true events. Although it seems rather unlikely that the Queen sat and chatted with the man who broke into her bedroom.
I just thought it might be good for you to meet someone normal who can tell it to you, as it is.
I meet normal people all the time.
No, you don't. Everyone you meet's on best behaviour. Bowing and scraping, that's not normal.
And this is normal.
However, what we like about the Crown's version of events is that it shows the monarch's humility. Rather than dismiss a man who's quite clearly in distress, she sits and listens to his concerns.
You're my last resort. Someone who can actually do something.
What is it you'd like me to do?
Save us all from her.
Who?
Thatcher. She's destroying the country. We've got more than 3 million unemployed.
Admittedly, in her eyes, it was probably the safest option given the circumstances. Nevertheless, as they part ways, the Queen lets him know that he has been heard, which is really all he wanted all along.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to me?
No.
Number 7. Choosing her favorite child. How many parents would actually admit to having a favorite child? Well, according to The Crown, Prince Philip and Margaret Thatcher.
Any honest parent would admit to having a favourite.
Who's our favourite?
My favourite or your favourite?
Is it different?
I'd say so, yes.
All right, you first. Who's yours?
Anne.
You said that alarmingly quickly.
Well, because it didn't require thought.
Philip!
With that in mind, Elizabeth decides to investigate whether she too has a favorite. It's quite amusing to see the Queen step into the mother role, from offering unwanted home renovation advice to asking about school.
I've met all the Cambridge admissions people. They're going to make it happen. They're no fools. It's good for them too. A member of the royal family at Jesus College. Just wait and see how the applications rocket.
That's not a particularly attractive attitude.
Yet her conversations also highlight how disengaged she is from her children's lives. Bizarrely, and of course controversially, she concludes that Andrew is her favorite.
I was shocked. If he doesn't change.
But don't worry, according to the Queen's cousin, Lady Patricia Mountbatten, like most of this episode, that's fabricated too. Number 6. A tender moment between sisters. One theme that runs throughout the series is the perpetual power struggle between family and duty. In fact, it's that clash that led to this heartwarming scene between sisters. Elizabeth visits Margaret, who's going through a rough time, and professes just how much her sister means to her.
You need to humour me. I'm not. Of all the people everywhere, you are the closest and most important to me.
As we'll see later, the Queen often struggles to engage with her emotions, so we don't often get a glimpse of her vulnerable side. We're reaching for the tissues, just watching her eyes fill up with tears.
For the record, I think there are many things you're good at.
Name one that's actually meaningful.
Being a sister.
Despite the belief that the crown must always come first, at heart, Elizabeth knows that nothing's more important than family.
And if by doing this, you wanted to let me imagine for 1 minute what life would be like without you, you succeeded. It would be unbearable.
Number 5. Putting Prince Charles in his place. After spending some time in Wales and connecting with the people, Charles alters his investiture speech to reflect the values they deem most important. It's very moving. Only, the Queen doesn't approve of him going off script, leading to a simmering confrontation later that night.
I've had the opportunity now to read the translation of what you actually said, and the inferences you made. The similarity between Wales's suffering and yours was clear.
Was it?
Unmistakable.
Elizabeth and Charles's relationship is often portrayed as strained, and nothing shows that more than this argument.
Am I listened to in this family? Am I seen for who and what I am? No. Do I have a voice?
Rather too much of a voice for my liking. Not having a voice is something all of us have to live with.
Actor Josh O'Connor said that Coleman is such a warm person, so quote, "When she plays cold, it's kind of shocking. It's quite alarming." Indeed, we were all shocked, especially when she tells her own son that no one cares about what he thinks.
Are you talking about the country? My own family?
No one.
Number 4. A life with horses.
Somehow today has managed to be one of the most enjoyable days of my life. And at the same time, one of the most depressing.
Throughout the series, Elizabeth's love of horses is referenced on numerous occasions. In this scene from season 3, she talks about her fondness for the animal in a poignant moment of self-reflection.
Owning horses, breeding horses, racing horses, it's what makes me truly happy. And I actually think it's what I was born to do, until the other thing came along.
She wistfully imagines how different her life might have been had her uncle never abdicated. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul, and Coleman is so talented that even if words lack emotion, her eyes say it all. We can all relate to that what-if moment too, and we're reminded that behind the smoke and mirrors is a person who just wants to be happy.
And on days like today, in places like this, in company like this, you get a glimpse of what it all might have been like. The unlived life.
Number 3. The final visit to the Duke of Windsor. Speaking of the Queen's uncle, in season 3, upon learning that he's gravely ill, she decides to visit him. He admits that he was wrong about her in this important moment of reconciliation between uncle and niece.
I underestimated you. We all did. but the crown always finds its way to the right head.
It even becomes an opportunity for him to offer his insight one final time. Not only does Elizabeth accept his apology, but also reveals that ultimately, he gave her some cause to be grateful.
That there are days, in fact, more and more the older I get, when I consider it to be a blessing.
Everything she says is clearly spoken from the heart, and you can feel the animosity of the past all but drift away. Shortly after this satisfying resolve, though, the Duke of Windsor passes away. Despite everything that happened prior, their final exchange leaves us all choked up.
For all of it. What I did to you. Forgive me.
Thank you.
Number 2. Her delayed response to the Aberfan disaster. Unlike Olivia Colman, the Queen isn't one for outward displays of emotion. In fact, the crew had to come up with some tricks to prevent the actress from crying during more emotional scenes.
They filmed quite a lot from the back of my head on those days, and also they've come up with a trick. So they give me an earpiece and they play the shipping forecast to me. So I just have to try and tune into the shipping forecast.
Following a disastrous coal slide, the Queen makes a belated visit to the grief-stricken village of Aberfan. Later, in a moment of painful self-awareness, she reflects upon how she was able to go through the motions without showing an ounce of emotion.
I have known for some time there is something wrong with me.
Not wrong.
Deficient, then. How else would you describe it when something is missing?
It's only when she sits alone, listening to the hymn from the funeral, that she finally sheds some tears. Indeed, her delayed response to the Aberfan disaster reportedly remains one of her greatest regrets.
The people of Aberfan deserved a prompt response. They didn't get one. They deserved a display of compassion, of empathy from their queen.
And they got it yesterday.
They got nothing.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Why she won't perform for her husband. Don't mess with this queen.
Why did you never do that for me?
Dance on your birthday?
Yes. Like Salome.
Because, if memory serves, you had your own ballerinas for that.
This uptown girl gets a lesson in popular culture. We guess she's never heard this Backstreet guy.
Now, much more importantly, who is Billy Joel?
Billy Joel.
Oh, Joel?
Yes. Uptown girl.
What are you talking about?
Don't push Queen Elizabeth's buttons. One must refrain from ringing the Queen's bell.
It's my understanding they're both very much alive. But we can check.
What are you doing? That's my button.
When Thatcher gets a lesson in hunting 101. We don't condone hunting, but that's some sound advice.
So next time you might not wear bright blue. It means the stag can see you. Or wear scent. It means he can smell you. Ooh! Now he can hear you, too.
The Queen likes a good poem, but we're thinking that Margaret's dirty limerick may not be to her taste.
You've made it this far.
They found her vagina in North Carolina.
And her arsehole in Buckingham Palace. Bravo.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Elizabeth confronts Anthony Blunt. Season 3 begins with the shocking revelation that there's a spy in Buckingham Palace. Eventually, the Queen's art advisor, Anthony Blunt, is uncovered as a mole for the Soviet Union.
It is he who has curated this exhibition and given meaning to mystery and revealed what really does lie beneath the surface.
The way that she handles the betrayal is impressive and quite admirable. Not necessarily how she lets it slide to save face, but more the sly way in which she issues a veiled message to the art historian.
Two different versions of the same person.
Which might as well be two different people. The idealized version of themselves they want to be seen, and the less desirable person they rarely are, hidden away.
With all the grace and decorum of a queen, she lets him know exactly what she thinks of him. Her performance is remarkable, and no one knows how to throw shade quite like Olivia Colman's Queen Elizabeth.
Well, I think I speak for everyone here when I say none of us will be able to trust or look at anything in the same way ever again.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Ms. Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.